Okay, so now let's talk about the chapter 8 exercise problem, linear regression in Python. The step number one is we need to read the training and scoring data sets. Step number two is we need to input scikit-learn library. Step number three is that we need to predict the comprehensive strength. So that is our target value. And then we're not going to include slab ID because it's not a numerical variable, right? This is ID. So we're going to remove it, we're not going to use it as what independent variable. And then using the summary functions, we're going to use we're going to find independent variables whose p-values are greater than alpha, right? The level of significance, which is 0.05. 5% is a typical value for the alpha level of significance, right? Since this is not the stat course, I'm not going to talk about, I'm not going to really explain in details about the p-values and t distributions and all that. Right? So if you want to, review about the p-values and uh, the t distribution, you need to get your old statistical book, right? Textbook. Yes, and then look at the hypothesis testings and the regressions, right? Yeah, especially the hypothesis testing. So then, yeah, just review, right? To review about what the p-values and the t-distributions. And then we're going to drop method, right, to remove the observations from where? From the scoring data set, right? It's not the training data set, from the scoring data set where one or more attributes exceed the range established in the training data set, right? That's what we are going to do. The step number 5 is what? We are going to use the predict functions and then apply to linear regression model to score the data, right? So basically, we apply the predict functions to find what? Find the target value, right? Target value of the scoring data set. The target value is what? Comprehensive strength. That's our target value. Okay. Then finally, combine the predictions with the scoring data set, view the data frame, and answer the following questions. So that's basically the the brief description of the chapter 8 exercise problems. So now let's take a look at our the Python implementations. First, you need to mount your Google Drive as usual, and then read concrete breakage, a CSV file for what? For the training, okay? And then for what? The concrete strengths predict CSV file for the scoring, right? And as you can see that the difference, obviously, right, between these two data frame is what? Is that the first one is for training, right? So that's why it has the target value, dependent variable, right? Whereas this is for the scoring data set, right? The data set for the scoring, that's why it only has input features, independent variables. And by the way, the SLAM ID, we're not going to include this, right? Because when we train the model, because this is just ID, it's not a numerical values, right? Okay, now then we need to what? We need to import scikit-learn, a linear regression model, right? And then this time we need to it's time for to set the independent variables, which is input features, and then the dependent variable, which is a target variable, right? And as we can see, you know, these are the input features, independent variables, right? This one is independent variables. And then the dependent variable is the comprehensive strength, which is a target variable, right? So that's a dependent variable. So we set this. And then our next step is we're going to examine the measure of the statistical significance in the linear regression model. Okay, so that's going to be in my next lecture video, right? So basically, this is like a part 1 of my lecture video on the chapter 8 exercise. Well, thank you.